Transportation, they said. It's going to be quick and easy, they said. And, hey, at least she's stretching. Have you done that today? Welcome back, beautiful and amazing human beings. My name is Luke Rudowski here of WeAreChange.org, and there is a huge amount of craziness to get into today, especially when it comes to the artificial intelligence debate that just got a lot more interesting. All of this as, of course, we have the Durham report that looks like it is going to have some kind of major implications. Is this going to bring the implications that we actually want and need in this country in order to reform the busted judicial system? Well, we're going to ask that question, plus get into it in this independent media broadcast. If you like the shirt that I'm wearing, you can get it on thebestpoliticalshirts.com. And the clip we played in the beginning of this broadcast was a random Twitter user that I saw on my all feed, at Onkuru, who sent this video in response to someone talking about the great, amazing, efficient, timely, and clean public transportation that is available in the United States. And it's important to note here that under the UN 2030 vision and a part of the larger plans laid forward for the rest of humanity, there is a larger push and agenda to get rid of all cars, private car ownership, since it affords people so much freedom that a lot of very powerful people are very allergic to and don't want you having. The same powerful people that are working on artificial intelligence. And once in a while, we get a glimpse of some really cool futuristic images and photos from artificial intelligence, like the ones that you're seeing right now from Midjourney, that are predictions from artificial intelligence about how cities will look like in the future, specifically highlighting flying cars, solar power, lush vegetation. This is allegedly how the AI envisions San Francisco looking like. Personally, my prediction is that it's going to look exactly like this, but, the artificial intelligence looks like it's being very optimistic with its viewpoints of how future cities will look like. And I think it's fair to say that with our current economic forecast, things aren't really looking too good, to say the least. As, of course, in Argentina, interest rates have jumped 97%. No, I did not just issue a Lukeism. It's what the AFP is reporting after, of course, record amount of inflation in the Southern American country that is dealing with some very corrupted, horrible politicians that have essentially printed way too much money. Where have I heard about corrupted politicians just printing money out of thin air? Oh, yeah. Washington, D.C., that allegedly is being wooed right now by artificial intelligence OpenAI founder Sam Altman, who is now speaking to lawmakers in Washington, D.C. about advanced artificial technology that his company produces that allegedly Congress is fascinated by, with, of course, most of the boomers in Washington, D.C. not even knowing how an iPhone works. All of this as artificial intelligence is being used more and more by centralized government forces and autocratic despots, using the technology to track, trace, and database and eviscerate any form of personal liberty, freedom, and expression therefore of, in an ever so technocratic world as in the United Kingdom. They just started to use artificial intelligence cameras on highways to catch drivers who throw trash out of their car windows. There's new technology also being developed that could grab your DNA from air. This says, of course, there's also gene-specific bioweapons being built by many foreign countries that could target specific individuals for specific ailments depending on their race, their hair color, their eye color, whatever you may be. You just program it into the computer, bada bing, bada boom, boom, you're gone. And related to God news, where's my dog? Atlas. Atlas, other side, please. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. She's the co-host. She's pretty much running the show here. And you can support my co-host and make sure she has the best treats and the best training by signing up to LukeUnfiltered.com. Cheap plug, as of course, this is one of the platforms that we have built so we could express ourselves fully. As you know, there's a lot of doubt now with Twitter. I explained that in yesterday's video. There's a new development surrounding Elon Musk today that we're going to be talking about, as well as some latest Tucker Carlson news that is very surprising and eye-opening, to say the least. We're also going to be talking about Robert Kennedy Jr., DeSantis, a lot more when it comes to having an open and frank discussion about the future of this country that we're going to be only discussing on LukeUnfiltered.com with the special video just for members right after this broadcast. Lots of amazing offers of values, in real life meetups, AMAs, direct contact to me, plus all the massive amount of human beings from all over the world. And there's a lot of really incredible people a part of this members area, which is really cool, mainly because of all the really cool people that are a part of it and make it really special, especially through the forum, especially through the conversations, especially through the in real life meetups, the AMAs, the conversations we have there, as we plan on, of course, expanding this platform. And of course, we could only do it through your support on LukeUnfiltered.com. This, as of course, not only social media is becoming more and more unreliable, it's also the legal judicial system that is becoming more and more corrupt, as we just found out from the Durham investigation that just concluded that the former president of the United States, Donald Trump, should have never been investigated for his alleged ties with Russia. Yes, you heard that correctly. The Durham investigation is done, and one of the main conclusions that they came from investigating this entire matter was that it was an entire waste of time. It was a psyops. It was a designated campaign program specifically meant to destroying and hindering the former president of the United States from having any kind of political success. And the very sinister intelligence agents and people that were a part of this larger conspiracy here that we know was an actual real conspiracy, literally planted fake news and disinformation to the corporate media that willingly regurgitated. We here as independent media were calling it out because we were asking for evidence. We were asking for proof. We were asking for documents. We were asking for anything other than the hearsay of known liars at the intelligence agencies for this proof of Russian interference with the Donald Trump campaign and our presidential election, and we never got any. That's why we were always skeptical of this story, and because we were called fake news, we were called Russian disinformation by the Washington Post that slandered our name, slandered our organization. There was a lot of other individuals that, of course, directly attacked us in the corporate media for being correct about this story. The YouTube social media algorithm downranked us, punished us, and demonetized us for correctly calling this story from the very beginning. And now, through the Durham investigation, we find out more, as even Peter Strzok, the weird-looking FBI agent in the middle of this, came out and said that this entire Russia Gate investigation should have never even taken place. This is the same FBI individual that was fired from the FBI because of his anti-Trump texts that were discovered in 2018. And this is big here, as the Durham report confirms that the FBI, the Department of Justice, had radical motives when it came to, of course, running a larger psyops on the American people. This is big news. This is major news. As of course, it clearly highlights that there is a dual system of justice, with many people in authority abusing their power in order to punish people for thinking the wrong political thoughts, bogging them down, investigating them, punishing them, throwing many individuals in jail for unrelated charges, contempt of Congress charges, contempt of court charges that were arbitrarily made up. As the last president of the United States was framed for treason by his own intelligence agencies in what could only be described as an attempted coup of his entire administration that was partially successful. Truly, this is one of the craziest stories in American history, and truly does highlight how much power the intelligence agencies actually have over the president of the United States, as they ran this entire scandal, this entire 24-hour news segment of Russia after the presidential election that was all made up. Now, will there be any kind of, accountability? Will there be any responsibility for the agents that lied through their teeth, that abused their positions of power, that of course misled the American public on a goose chase that wasn't even actually real? Well, no. The FBI responded to all of this, saying that they had, quote, dozen of corrective actions, that they investigated themselves, and then don't worry, everything's hunky-dory, even though no one even got a slap on the wrist here. That right there is the biggest admission that you have to understand that is so eye-opening here, is the fact that these unaccountable intelligence agencies still didn't even get a slap on the wrist. And they're trying to excuse and walk themselves out as their loyal servant puppets at the corporate media, just like MSNBC legal analyst, who right now on Twitter is saying that the FBI did nothing wrong when the FBI admitted that it did something wrong. The FBI, in its own official Twitter account, released a statement saying, hey, we implemented a dozen of corrective actions. What are those corrective actions? Who was punished here? Who was held responsible here? Absolutely no one. But they still talk about their missteps. They're talking about how this could have been all prevented. This was all a big whoopsie-doopsie. This was all a big mistake by an intelligence agency that spies on almost every single American and has been routinely doing more and more illegal things ever since its founding, going after the civil rights leaders of this country. But yeah, MSNBC already running defense for the FBI that clearly acted inappropriately here, clearly should be held responsible. Will they? Well, that's another question. And the report is very damning to the FBI, as many corporate media executives and Democrats are trying to downplay what was just released, saying that it's not relevant. But I think it's fair to say that this is just trying to obfuscate the larger issue at hand here, as of course, there was no factual evidence to actually investigate any Trump-Russian collusion, because there wasn't any. And this investigation, this PSYOP, changed the political landscape of this country, not just with its own internal political battles that, of course, defeated a presidential campaign and political aspirations even before they started, but more importantly, it also shaped American foreign policy, as Donald Trump, even admittedly, even according to many of his close aides, was trying to prove that he was not an asset to Russia, and therefore even acted on those specific implications by being more tough on them. This, as of course the current situation between Russia and the United States is absolutely horrendous, and we're at the brink of a full all-out conflict and war. This, as of course the corporate media institutions that regurgitated the lies from the intelligence agencies, institutions like the New York Times, the Washington Post, literally were patting themselves on the back, giving themselves awards, were giving Pulitzers for being good little stenographers of the deep state that clearly does exist, that clearly abused its power, that clearly isn't even going to be held accountable here, which shows us, holy frickin' cow, we are in trouble as a nation. As the former president of the United States is responding to all of this by saying treason, and that their quote must be have a price to pay for this. Now, will there be? Well, we could only hope so we could correct the wrongs and make sure that we don't get psyopsed as a nation again by lying intelligence agents that, of course, clearly have a political agenda, that are not fair, that are not unbiased, that are not honest, that clearly have hijacked and taken over our form of government, and they're willing to go above and beyond to make sure that other presidents who are supposed to be the leaders of the free world are held under their thumb, just like they did Donald Trump during his administration that previously promised that, hey, they were going to release all the JFK documents, and then they didn't. They backtracked on it, which showed you that, yeah, the intelligence agencies have a lot more power here than the President of the United States. This as today, Donald Trump has even made another pledge to release the JFK files again, saying specifically that he will release everything else, as there are still a trove of documents that we absolutely know very little about. Nothing about 60, 70 years from an incident that, of course, the intelligence agencies were probably involved in, according to the living members of the victims here, specifically Robert F. Kennedy Jr., are heavily implicated and played a major role in and probably did the assassination themselves. So yeah, when it comes to, taking out presidents, They used to just shoot them. Now they just character assassinate them, destroy their reputation, and have them fighting investigations, backpedaling against totally made-up assertions that they were lying about from the very beginning. This is a big deal. If you agree, share this video with your friends and family members so more people see this video, because that's the only way these videos are getting out there to the general public. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you guys actively doing that every single day. And this is why I love you guys. Stay tuned for more here on wearechange.org. One more video coming your way right now on lukeunfiltered.com.